Little girl saw a biker circled by thugs. What she did next didn't just shock them, it shattered the rules of their violent world. With a single, innocent gesture, she commanded the attention of 99 hardened men and changed the fate of an entire neighborhood forever. If you're new here, subscribe and comment your location. Now let's begin. The afternoon sun was hot on the cracked sidewalk of Elm Street. 10-year-old Lucy was on a mission. She had been building her domino track for 2 hours. It started at the old oak tree root and snaked all the way down the block. She used dominoes, toy cars, blocks, and even some spoons from her kitchen. It was her masterpiece. She was almost at the end, near Mr. Henderson's fence. A low rumble filled the air. Lucy looked up, annoyed. A single motorcycle pulled up to the curb. A big man got off. He wore a leather vest with patches. He looked tough. His name was James. He was the president of the Saints of Steel Motorcycle Club. He was meeting someone here. Lucy went back to her dominoes. She placed a blue one carefully. Then 3 cars screeched to a stop. 5 men jumped out. They were not bikers. They were thugs from a gang called the Vipers. They wore baggy clothes and mean faces. Their leader, a man named Vince, walked right up to James. "This is our block now, old man," Vince said, getting in James's face. "Your block smells like garbage," James said calmly. He didn't move. "You sell your trash somewhere else." The Vipers spread out, surrounding James. It was 5 against 1. People watching from windows pulled their blinds shut. The street got quiet and tense. Lucy looked up again. The men were standing right in the middle of her domino path. They were blocking the last 3 feet to Mr. Henderson's fence. She sighed a big, annoyed sigh. She put down her last domino. She stood up and brushed her knees. She walked right into the middle of the circle of angry men. She didn't look scared. She looked frustrated. James and Vince stared down at her. "Excuse me," Lucy said, her voice clear. No one paid attention. Vince poked a finger into James's chest. "You got until 3 to get on your bike and leave." "1," Vince started. Lucy reached out. She carefully took James's left hand. He was so surprised he let her. She lifted his pinky finger. Then she reached over and took Vince's right hand. Vince was too confused to pull away. She lifted his pinky finger too. She linked their 2 big, rough pinky fingers together with her own small one. "Hey, what the?" Vince started. "You're blocking my art," Lucy stated, looking from one man to the other. "You have to move, swear to move, then you can fight over there." She nodded to the empty lot across the street. James looked down at their linked pinkies. He looked at the serious face of the little girl. A pinky swear. His daughter used to do this. A lump formed in his throat. Vince just stared. "Are you kidding me? Get lost, kid." "A pinky swear is forever," Lucy said, her eyes locked on his. "You can't break it. My dad said so. Swear to move, then you can do your grown-up stuff." The silence was heavy. The other Vipers shifted, unsure. This was not in their plan. From down the street, a new sound began. A low, growing thunder. 1 motorcycle, then 10, then 50. The rest of the Saints of Steel had been nearby. They heard there might be trouble. They came to back up their president. 99 bikers rolled onto Elm Street. They parked in a massive, rumbling wall of chrome and leather. They got off their bikes. They saw their president and the Viper leader standing in a circle, linked by a little girl's pinky. They fell silent. 100 hard men, many of them fathers, held their breath. They saw the domino track. They saw Lucy's determined face. James looked at Vince. He saw the confusion. He saw a way out that wasn't blood. He tightened his pinky just a little around Vince's. "Swear," James said, his voice low, "to move." Vince looked at the army of bikers. He looked at the crazy little girl. He felt the ridiculous pinky promise. A laugh burst out of him, short and surprised. "This is insane." "Fine, I swear, we'll move." Lucy nodded, satisfied. She unlinked their fingers. "Thank you." She walked back to her dominoes. James stepped back. Vince shook his head, a weird smile on his face. He waved to his men. "Let's go over there." The Vipers moved across the street to the empty lot, looking baffled. The Saints of Steel watched, stunned. Their president had just avoided a war because of a pinky swear. Lucy finished her track. She tapped the first domino. It began to fall, click, 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 click. The chain reaction went all the way down the block, around a toy fire truck, over a spoon bridge, and ended with a plastic cup falling onto a whoopee cushion with a loud, funny sound. PFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFfffffffffffffffffffff then another. Soon, the whole street was rumbling with deep, chuckling laughter from 99 bikers. James walked over to Lucy. He knelt down. That was some track. "It was okay," Lucy said. "It would have been better if I had more room." "What's your name?" "Lucy." "Well, Lucy, thank you. You have interesting diplomacy skills." Lucy's mom, Elena, came running out of their apartment building. She was pale with fear. "Lucy, I saw everything from the window. Are you okay?" She pulled Lucy close, looking at the sea of bikers. "She's fine, ma'am," James said, standing up. "She's a hero. She just negotiated a peace treaty." Elena looked confused. One of the bikers, a big man named Paul, walked over. He had a daughter Lucy's age. He looked at the domino track. "You built all this yourself?" Lucy nodded. "I like to build things, but I have to do it outside. Our apartment is too small." James looked at Elena. He saw the worn edges of her clothes, the worry in her eyes. A single mom. He looked back at Lucy, the fearless artist. "We'll be seeing you, Lucy," James said. He got on his bike. The 99 other bikers did the same. The roar was deafening as they rode away, but it felt different now. Less like a threat, more like a salute. The Vipers, across the lot, just got in their cars and left. The fight was gone from them. That night at the Saints of Steel clubhouse, the men couldn't stop talking about it. "Did you see her face? She was so serious." "A pinky swear. I ain't done one of those since my kid was 5. James sat at the head of the table. She saw a problem and she solved it, with a rule everyone understands: no violence, just a promise. The Vipers looked stupid. Paul laughed, didn't know what to do. Daniel, the club's smart guy, spoke up. "That's power, Prez. She has a power we don't. Pure, simple authority. No one expects it. No one knows how to fight it." James thought for a long time. "We need to talk to the Vipers. For real, not with fists, with that." The next day, James and Daniel went to the Vipers' hangout, a rundown pool hall. Vince was there. He was still embarrassed. "What do you want?" Vince asked. "To talk," James said. The girl had a point. "We're blocking the art. This whole neighborhood is the art. We're fighting over it, and we're just making a mess." Vince was suspicious. So a temporary truce. "A pinky swear," James said, the words feeling strange in his mouth. "Just to see. No moving product on Elm or 5th. No muscle. We see if the cops leave us all alone more. We see if business gets better for everyone." Vince stared. He thought about the little girl's serious eyes. He thought about how silly his men looked. He slowly held out his pinky. Temporary, 2 months. James linked his pinky with Vince's. 2 months. Word of the pinky swear truce spread on the street. People couldn't believe it, but the fighting stopped. The neighborhood got quiet. A week later, James, Paul, and a few other bikers showed up at Lucy's apartment building. They had tools. Elena opened the door, scared. "It's okay, ma'am," Paul said. "We're here for Lucy. We have a proposal." Lucy came to the door. James knelt again. "Lucy, the truce is working. Because of you, we want to build you something. A place to do your art. What do you need?" Lucy's eyes got big. "A big table, and walls I can paint on, and shelves for stuff, and good light." James smiled. "Show us." They followed her to the old, boarded-up community storage room in the basement of her building. It was dirty and full of junk, but it was big. "Here," Lucy said. James nodded to his men. "Clear it out." The Saints of Steel spent the weekend cleaning. They hauled out junk. They fixed the lights. They put in a huge work table. Paul built sturdy shelves. Another biker, who was an electrician, wired new bright lights. They painted the walls white. On Sunday, they brought Lucy down. The room was transformed. There were boxes of new art supplies on the table, paints, clay, dominoes, Legos, everything. Lucy's mouth was open. "Is this for me?" "It's for the neighborhood," James corrected gently. "For any kid who wants to build or paint, but you're in charge, you make the rules." Lucy ran to the big white wall. "Can I paint on this?" "You can paint whatever you want." She took a blue paintbrush and carefully drew 2 linked pinky fingers in the corner. Under it, she wrote Pinky Swear Park. The names stuck. Pinky Swear Park opened. At first, only a few brave kids came, but Lucy was a good boss. Soon, the room was full of kids after school. The bikers would sometimes stop by. Paul showed kids how to build birdhouses. A biker named Mick, who did tattoos, taught them how to draw simple designs. Elena started helping too. She made snacks. She felt safe with these men now. She saw how they looked at Lucy with respect, not fear. One afternoon, Daniel the biker was there, fixing a wobbly shelf. Elena was making lemonade. Their hands touched, reaching for the same pitcher. A spark passed between them. Daniel was smart, quiet, different from the others. Elena was strong and kind. They shared a long look. "Sorry," Daniel said, his voice soft. "It's okay," Elena said, smiling. A connection began. It was slow and careful. Daniel would walk Elena and Lucy home. He'd listen to Elena talk about her dreams of going back to school. He started showing up with textbooks for her. Their chemistry was a quiet, growing thing, full of hope. Meanwhile, the 2-month truce between the Saints and the Vipers was almost up. The meeting was set. Everyone expected it to end and the fighting to start again. The leaders met in the empty lot, James, Vince, and their top men. "The truce is over," Vince said. "Business is good, but this block, we still want a peace." James was ready to say no, but then he saw a small figure walking down the sidewalk, carrying a big box of chalk. It was Lucy. She was going to draw a mural on the Pinky Swear Park sidewalk. She saw the men. She walked right over just like before. She put her box down. "Is the promise over?" she asked James, her face serious. "It might be, kid," Vince said, but his voice wasn't as mean as before. Lucy looked upset. "But it's working. The park is working. My friend Marco, his dad is a Viper. He comes to the park. We built a robot together last week." She looked at Vince. "If you start fighting again, Marco can't come. He said his mom won't let him." Vince froze. Marco was his nephew. He didn't know the kid was going to the biker's art room. Lucy did the unthinkable again. She stepped forward and held out both her hands, pinkies out. "Do it again, for longer, swear." James looked at Vince. Vince looked at the ground. He thought of his nephew, who had been getting in trouble before, now excited about building robots. He slowly put out his pinky. James put out his. Lucy linked them with her own 2 pinkies, forming a chain. "Swear, for the park, for the art." The men, linked by a little girl's hands, looked at each other. The anger was gone. It just looked stupid now. "I swear," James said. Vince took a deep breath. "Yeah, okay, I swear, for the park." The truce became permanent that day, not because of fear, but because of a chalk robot and a little girl who believed a promise was forever. The Saints of Steel didn't give up their empire. They just built a new part of it, Pinky Swear Park. It became a sanctuary. Daniel and Elena's love grew, a gentle romance in the middle of a tough world. And Lucy, the girl who stopped a war with a pinky, kept building, her art now protected by 99 silent, watchful uncles who knew that sometimes the strongest power sounds like a child's voice saying, "You're blocking my art." Pinky Swear Park thrived. It became the safest, most colorful block in the neighborhood. The white walls were now covered in bright murals of dragons, spaceships, and linked pinky fingers. The big table was always surrounded by kids building things out of clay, wood, and recycled junk. The Vipers kids and the Saints kids all played together. Fights between the gangs vanished. The police noticed the quiet and left everyone alone. Elena started taking online business classes using the park's office computer. Daniel helped her with her homework. Their quiet chemistry grew into something strong. He'd stay for dinner after helping at the park. He taught Lucy how to change a bike tire, his large hands guiding her small ones. He looked at Alina with a love that was steady and sure. One night after walking them home, he kissed her on her apartment doorstep. It was soft and full of promise. "I'm in this," he whispered. "With you, with Lucy, however you'll have me." Alina, who hadn't trusted a man in years, felt her heart open. "I'm in it too." But peace is fragile. A new threat arrived in a suit, not leather. A property developer named Mr. Carver saw the revitalized neighborhood and saw dollar signs. He wanted to buy the whole block, tear down the old buildings, including Lucy's apartment and the park's basement, and build expensive condos. He started by offering money to the building owner, a greedy man named Mr. Higgins. Higgins agreed to sell. Eviction notices were sent to all the tenants, including Alina. A notice was also nailed to the door of Pinky Swear Park, premises to be vacated in 60 days. Lucy was devastated. "They can't close the park," we swore. Alina tried to explain about money and contracts, but Lucy didn't understand. The neighborhood was angry. The Saints and the Vipers were united in their fury. This was their home. James called a meeting at the clubhouse with Vince. It was the first time the Viper leader had been inside. "This Carver thinks he can roll over us," James said, his voice cold. "He doesn't know who he's dealing with." "We can scare him off," Vince suggested, cracking his knuckles. Daniel the Thinker shook his head. "No, that's what he wants. He'll call the cops, get injunctions, paint us as criminals trying to stop progress. We need to be smarter. We need to fight him on his own turf." "How?" Alina asked. She had been invited to the meeting, a sign of her new status. "The city," Daniel said. "We get the block declared a historical community asset, or we buy the building ourselves." "With what money?" Paul grumbled. James looked around the room. "We have money, but not that much. We need a plan." Lucy, who had been drawing in the corner, looked up. "Can't we just talk to him, make him promise?" The men looked at her. The idea was so simple it was ridiculous, but it had worked before. "We can't pinky swear a billionaire, kiddo," Vince said, but he smiled. "We can show him," Lucy said. "Show him the park." An idea formed in Daniel's mind. "She's right. We don't threaten, we invite. We show Carver what he's destroying. We make it public. We use the one thing we have that he doesn't, community." They decided to throw a park preservation party. They invited everyone, the news, the city council, even Mr. Carver. The Saints and Vipers worked together, hanging lights, setting up tables. Kids made signs that said "Save our art" and "Pinky Swear forever." The day of the party, the street was packed. News cameras rolled. Mr. Carver arrived, looking annoyed and out of place in his expensive suit. Lucy walked right up to him. She held out her hand. "Hi, I'm Lucy. I'm the park manager. Do you want a tour?" Trapped by cameras, Carver had to smile and nod. She led him to the basement. She showed him the murals, the shelves of projects, the Pinky Swear wall. She introduced him to Marco, Vince's nephew, who showed him the robot he built. She showed him Mrs. Henderson's pottery class for seniors. "This is where my friend's dad learned to stop fighting," Lucy said plainly, pointing to the Pinky mural. "A promise is stronger than fighting." Carver was a businessman, not a monster. He felt uncomfortable. He saw real joy here, but he also saw millions of dollars. "This is very nice, sweetheart," he said, patting her head, "but progress is important." At that moment, James and Vince stepped forward side by side. The camera lights swung to them. "Mr. Carver," James said, his voice loud and clear for the reporters, "this progress would put 30 families on the street. It would destroy the only safe place for these kids. The Saints of Steel and the Vipers have put our differences aside to protect this community. We are asking you to do the same. Withdraw your offer." Carver's face hardened. "This is a business decision. Sentiment doesn't pay." Then Alina stepped up. Daniel stood protectively behind her. "I'm Alina, Lucy's mother. This park saved my daughter. It's saving this whole block. We're not just sentiment, we're a coalition. We will fight you with lawyers, with City Hall, with protests. It will cost you more than this property is worth. Or you can be the hero who saved a community garden." The crowd cheered, the news ate it up, Carver was cornered. Just then, a man pushed through the crowd. He was thin, with tired eyes and a ragged backpack. He stared at Elena and Lucy. "Elena," he said. Elena turned, her face went white. "Rob." It was Lucy's father, Elena's ex-husband. He had left years ago, struggling with addiction, and dropped out of their lives. Lucy stared, confused. "Dad." Rob looked at the crowd, the bikers, the cameras. I got clean, I came back, I heard about the park, I wanted to see Lucy." The scene was already charged, and this added a lightning bolt. Daniel moved closer to Elena, a protective wall. James and Vince watched, ready for anything. Carver saw his chance to escape the spotlight. "This is a private matter, I'll have my office call you." He quickly left. The party was over. The crowd dispersed, buzzing with the new drama. Back in Elena's apartment, the tension was thick. Rob sat on the couch, crying, "I'm so sorry for everything. I want to be in her life. I'll get a job, You can't just walk back in," Elena said, her voice trembling. "You left. We built a life without you, a good life." Lucy was quiet, looking between her mother, her father, and Daniel, who had become her steady rock. Daniel spoke to Rob, his voice calm but firm. "You hurt them. Your job now is to prove you're different. Slowly, on their terms. You don't get to disrupt what they've built." Rob nodded, humbled. "I understand. Can I just visit at the park?" Elena looked at Lucy. Lucy, after a long moment, gave a small nod. "At the park, supervised," Elena said. The next weeks were hard. Rob visited the park. He was awkward, but he tried. He helped Lucy build a model plane. Meanwhile, the fight with Carver continued. Daniel filed paperwork with the city to landmark the park. The news story had gained sympathy. The city council was getting pressure. But Carver played dirty. He hired men to vandalize the park one night. They spray-painted over the murals, smashed the tables. When Lucy saw it the next morning, she cried. The Saints and Vipers were furious. This was an act of war. They wanted to find the men and break them. Lucy, her face streaked with tears, stood in the middle of the mess. She didn't look sad anymore, she looked angry. "No," she said to James and Vince, "that's what he wants. We fix it, we make it better, we show him he can't break us." Her words stopped them. Again, the child was leading. The whole neighborhood came out that weekend for a repaint and rebuild day. Rob was there, working harder than anyone, proving himself. Daniel worked beside him, a silent competition of worthiness. By the end, the park was brighter and stronger than ever. Carver saw the news coverage of the community rebuild. He saw his tactics had backfired. The public opinion was firmly against him. The city council denied his fast-track permits. He finally gave up. He withdrew his offer. The park was saved. That night there was a celebration at the park. Rob pulled Elena aside. "You built something amazing here. He's a good man," he said, nodding toward Daniel, who was laughing with Lucy. "I'll always love you both, but I see I lost my chance. I just want to be in Lucy's life as much as you'll allow." Elena saw his sincerity. She agreed to regular visits. As the party wound down, Daniel stood with Elena under the string lights. He took her hand. "It's been a long road." "It's our road," she said. She looked at Lucy, showing Rob her newest domino track design. "All of us." Daniel took a small box from his pocket. He didn't get down on one knee, he just held it open. It was a simple silver band. "I don't have a pinky to offer, but I have this, and my whole heart. Marry me, Elena. Let me be your family officially." Elena, with tears of happiness, said yes. Lucy cheered louder than anyone. The Saints of Steel and the Vipers didn't become best friends, but they respected the border drawn by a child's promise. The empire of the Saints didn't fall, it just built a beautiful, unbreakable park at its heart. And Lucy, the girl who commanded grown men with a pinky swear, kept building her art, surrounded by a family larger and more loyal than she ever could have imagined. Life after the victory had a new, sweet rhythm. The eviction notices were torn up. The building owner, Mr. Higgins, seeing the community's power and the bad press for trying to evict them, offered Alina a job as the building manager. She accepted. It meant a steady income and a secure home. Lucy's father, Rob, kept his word. He got a job as a mechanic at a garage across town. Every Saturday, he would pick Lucy up and they'd spend the day together. It was awkward at first, but it got easier. He never missed a visit. He respected the boundaries Alina set. Daniel never tried to replace him, but he was the constant, steady presence in their daily life. Lucy had, in a strange way, gained two fathers. The wedding of Alina and Daniel was a neighborhood event. It was held in Pinky Square Park. The arch was made of old motorcycle parts and fresh flowers. James walked Alina down the makeshift aisle. Lucy was the flower girl and the best man, carrying the rings on a small pillow shaped like a domino. Vince and a few of the Vipers were even invited. They stood at the back, looking uncomfortable but respectful. When the officiant pronounced Daniel and Alina husband and wife, the roar was not from bikes, but from the cheers of the entire block. Daniel moved into their apartment. It was crowded, but it was full of love. He turned a corner of the living room into a small office for Alina to study. He helped her graduate from her business course. With her new skills, she started managing the books for the Saints' legitimate businesses too, working alongside Daniel. They were a team. Pinky Square Park became more than an art room. It became a real community center. They got donations from local businesses. They started a free tutoring program. They had movie nights. The Saints and Vipers took turns providing security, which just meant sitting outside, drinking coffee, and making sure the kids were safe. Lucy, now 11, was still the heart of it. She had a team of junior managers, kids who helped run the programs. She taught the younger ones how to build domino tracks. Her own art got bigger. She started painting murals on the outside walls of the building with permission. The whole side of the building became a giant canvas of interconnected hands and colorful designs. One afternoon, James and Vince were having coffee at a table outside the park, discussing a neutral business matter, a shared interest in a local car wash. It was a strange sight, but normal now. Lucy came out, her hands covered in blue paint. "Uncle James, Uncle Vince," she said, "I need your help. The shelf for the clay is too high for the little kids. Can you lower it?" James and Vince looked at each other. Without a word, they got up, found tools in the park's supply closet, and went to work. As they unscrewed the shelf, Vince chuckled. "Never thought I'd be taking orders from a kid." "Best boss I ever had," James grunted, a smile on his face. They lowered the shelf. Lucy inspected their work. "Perfect, thank you." She gave them both a hug before running back inside. Vince watched her go. "My nephew. He's reading at grade level now because of the tutoring here." James nodded. "We all won without throwing a single punch." That was the new truth. The peace held because it was profitable. The neighborhood was calm, businesses did better, police left them alone, and everyone made more money. The Pinky Square became a business model. But the past has a way of circling back. A figure from James's past arrived in town. His name was Decker. He was an old-school biker, former member of a club that was an enemy of the Saints years ago. He was pure trouble, a chaos agent who profited from war, not peace. He heard about the famous truce. He saw it as weakness. He wanted to break it. He thought if he could start a fight between the Saints and the Vipers, he could move into the territory while they were distracted. Decker was smart. He didn't attack directly. He started a rumor. He told some Viper prospects that the Saints were planning to take over the Vipers' biggest moneymaker, a series of parking lots they controlled. He told some Saints prospects that the Vipers were disrespecting the club by selling product too close to the park. The rumors spread. Tension began to simmer again. Young, hot-headed men on both sides started posturing. Lucy felt the change. Kids at the park whispered about their older brothers or cousins being angry. Marco, Vince's nephew, didn't show up one day. His mom said it was too tense. Lucy was angry. This was her peace, her promise. She went to James. "Something's wrong. People are mad again." James knew it was true. He had heard the rumors. "We're handling it, Lucy." "You're not handling it, it's getting worse." She had the same determined look she'd had on the sidewalk over a year ago. "Call a meeting, here, at the park, everyone." James tried to refuse, but Lucy stood her ground. "You promised, for the park. The park is hurting, so you have to fix it." He couldn't argue with her logic. He called Vince. "Meet at the park, tomorrow night, just you and me, and Lucy will be there." Vince agreed, confused. The next evening, the park was closed to kids. The big table was clear. James and Vince sat at opposite sides. Their top lieutenants, Paul from the Saints and a Viper named Carlos, stood behind them, arms crossed. The air was thick with distrust. Lucy walked in. She placed a single domino in the center of the table. Then she sat down at the head of the table, between the two men. "This is stupid," she announced. "You're being stupid." The men stared at her. "Someone is lying to you," Lucy said plainly. "My friend Marco said his cousin heard a Saint say they want your parking lots, Uncle Vince. My friend Tommy, whose brother is a Saint prospect, heard a Viper say you spit on the park steps, Uncle James. They can't both be true, so someone is lying to start a fight, and you're falling for it." Her words were so direct, they cut through the pride. James and Vince looked at each other. "Who would lie?" Vince asked, his voice low. "A man named Decker," a voice said from the doorway. It was Daniel. He walked in, holding a file. He'd been doing his own digging. "He's in town. He's been talking to your young guys. He profits from war. He thinks you've gone soft." James's face darkened. Vince slammed his hand on the table. "Decker, that snake." Lucy pointed at the domino. "If you knock this over, everything falls. The park, the peace, Marco's robot club, everything. Are you going to let a snake knock it over?" She stood up. She held out her pinkies, one toward James, one toward Vince. "Swear again, right now. Swear you won't be stupid. Swear you'll find the snake together. Then you can go back to your business." The men looked at her small, outstretched hands. They looked at the domino. They thought of the quiet year, the better business, the kids who weren't afraid. Slowly, James put out his pinky. Vince put out his. They leaned across the table and linked them with Lucy's. "We swear," they said together. The next 48 hours were a coordinated operation between the Saints and the Vipers. They found Decker in a motel on the edge of town. They didn't hurt him. They simply paid him a visit. James, Vince, Paul, and Carlos stood in his room, a united front. "You have until sunrise to be out of this city," James said, his voice icy. "If we see you again, we won't be polite. The peace is worth more than you." Decker, seeing the alliance he tried to break now turned against him, packed his bags and left. The rumors died instantly. The peace was not just restored, it was strengthened. The joint action built real trust. James and Vince started having actual business meetings, finding more ways to cooperate legally. They became, if not friends, powerful allies. Time passed. Lucy turned 13. The park expanded into the vacant lot next door, becoming Pinky Swear Park and Garden. They grew vegetables. Elena ran a small community market. Daniel and Elena had a baby, a boy they named Leo. Lucy was an adoring big sister. Rob was a doting grandfather. The family mosaic was complete, if unconventional. One summer day, Lucy was working on a new mural on the outside wall. It was a massive piece showing two giant hands, one wearing a saint's ring, one with a viper tattoo, their pinkies linked. Inside the linked circle, she painted a vibrant scene of the park, the garden, kids playing, and her baby brother laughing. James and Vince happened to be walking by together, finalizing a deal for a joint car wash venture. They stopped to watch her paint. She didn't look down. "Do you like it?" "It's perfect, kid," Vince said, his voice oddly thick. James just nodded, a proud gleam in his eye. This fierce, artistic girl was their peace treaty, their conscience, and their legacy, all rolled into one. The Saints of Steel never gave up their empire. They still rode, they still ruled their territory, they still lived by their code. But the heart of their empire was no longer just a clubhouse. It was a park named after a promise. And the Vipers, once their enemies, were now neighbors who respected the border drawn not by force, but by the unwavering logic of a child. Lucy finished the mural with a final stroke. She stepped back, looking at the two towering men beside her. She didn't see scary bikers or gang leaders. She saw Uncle James and Uncle Vince. She saw the men who built her shelves, who kept their promise, who protected her art. "Okay," she said, wiping her hands on her paint-splattered jeans. "I'm done. Who wants lemonade?" And just like that, the two most powerful men on the block followed the 13-year-old girl inside, ready to take their orders, bound forever by the simplest, strongest oath they had ever known. Thank you for watching. Would you have the courage to step into the middle of a dangerous fight? Could a child's simple rule stop a war? Subscribe and tell us what you think in the comments below. Where in the world are you watching from?